Hello friends, welcome to a new tutorial, and in this tutorial we will selectively pick elements from a photograph reference and then create a painting out of it. We might alter the elements and we might change the composition and we might add some additional things to create more interest. This is the reference photograph and I am inspired by the elements like the car, the trees, the electric poles and maybe some of those bikes parked underneath the tree. So these are the elements that I will be picking up, and let us make our own version of this, ignoring all the rest of the things from the reference photograph. Okay, let us begin. I am using a cold pressed watercolor paper and I am using a fountain pen for drawing it. You don't have to use fountain pen, you can use graphite pencil. I am using a fountain pen because I like it. That is one reason, and the other reason is that the drawing becomes more clear in the video when I draw with pen than drawing with pencil. Right, so you can use graphite pencil or any other waterproof pen for the drawing, and you have to ensure that if you are using pen, you have to ensure that it is a waterproof ink, otherwise it might get smudged when you apply watercolors on top of it. As I have mentioned, I'm using the car and the tree above from the reference photograph, and I'll be also using the electric pole, the element electric pole from the reference, and rest everything will be added from imagination. See, this is just a practice, and what I'm practicing here is how to detach myself from all those unwanted details from the reference, and how to be little more creative or imaginative when I add when I create, when I draw and paint my artwork. All those things I am trying to practice by this. Okay, so there is no right way or wrong way of doing it. You just practice. How much amount of practice that you make is more important. Okay, so these I have just added maybe a couple of scooters parked under the tree. See, I wanted to make it a scooter. Whether it looks like a scooter or not, it is, you can decide. And maybe a person standing next to that. So these are something that we can tweak the reference, and we can create our own version of it. And this is the electric pole. Okay, and yeah, some details from the reference. You can cross check if you want to cross check at the reference. You can cross check, and see, the reference here is not very important because we know that what are the elements that we are going to pick, and we have a fair amount of memory of what it is, and it is a good idea to keep observing at the reference and then copy it or draw it from memory. That again will help you improve your drawing skills. Okay, I think this much is sufficient from the references, and we will just maybe create something additional from our own imagination or creativity, and then we'll start the painting. Okay, so these are maybe some bikes parked somewhere, and I'll not be providing any details for this. Maybe this has to be slightly bigger, the figure. Okay, another figure maybe here. Right, I think we can start the washing phase now, and I'm wetting the paper for the sky area, and here I'm doing wet on wet approach because I wanted to do it quickly and without too much of details. So wetting the sky with clean water and adding then cerulean blue for the sky. It's a kind of a clear sky. Okay, that is why I'm not using any grayish kind of a tone, and I'm using a mop brush for this. It is always good to use a mop brush for those big washes, so that you will get it done quickly and you will get it very smooth. Maybe slightly warmer color at the bottom, and yeah, I think we are pretty much done with the sky. Okay, we don't need too much of details. This is a very simple work, and it is a good idea to make or paint simple subjects. Okay, so that will give you more of confidence in your brushworks, in your thought process, etc. The more complicated reference you pick at the beginning, the more challenging it will become, and it is very likely that your work may have a lot of drawing issues, and it may turn out to be very rigid or tight. It may not have that loose kind of a feel to it. So this is burnt sienna at the bottom, and it is little watery burnt sienna, and I am making it little darker for the bottom area, so that there is a little bit of a sense of depth. Okay, the tone variation, and then it may create some depth, and adding little bit of a violet kind of a color to that, maybe little bit of a violet color to that, violet blue kind of that, so that it gets darker. And I'm also overall adding some darker shadow, because I thought darker tone, because I thought there will be a lot of shadows from the tree, and it will be a good idea to make it little darker for the ground. Adding some shadow tone with blue, maybe crimson, so to create kind of a purplish color for adding more kind of a darker tone, and maybe some shadows later. And you must always remember that watercolor dries light, so you should paint with a little more darker tones, so that when it dries, you will get the right amount of tones, values. Okay. Now let us think of the trees, and I am splattering some water here for some texture. And now I think we can work on the tree once it is fully dry. Okay, now it is fully dry, so I'm using a little bit of yellow and olive green. Okay, any yellows will do. I'm using a little bit of Naples yellow, but any yellows will do. And using a medium size round brush, I'm creating bold washes for the tree, and little bit of the edge leaves. Okay, I'm paying little bit of attention to those edges to suggest some of the loose leaves, but otherwise for the larger volume of foliages, I'm making bold washes. Okay, mainly using the side of the brush. So the consistency of this paint is little thicker, because it has to be a little darker. And the colors, as I mentioned, it is olive green and little bit of yellows. Okay, I have used Naples yellow, but you can use other yellows as well. And I'm leaving little bit of gaps in between the foliages, so that some sky can be seen through. And yeah, don't have to worry too much about the shape of the foliages. There should be a little bit of randomness in the shapes, and it's a good idea to suggest some loose or very suggested foliages, and some edge leaves as well. And yeah, some trunks with the darker tones. For making it darker, I am using a little bit of blue, or maybe you can use little bit of red to the foliage mix and make it darker for the branches. I think I'm pretty much happy with the trees. Okay, I'm seeing some texture on the top of the page, that may be some due to some fault on the paper. You can see some texture in the sky area. So we'll see if we can ignore or we should do something on it. Let us now suggest some shadows for the scooter's part. And this again is done with the same medium sized bold brush. And you can be a little bold. Okay, these practices should help you in creating bold decisions, bold brushworks, and taking bold decisions. See, it's a practice. Don't have to worry too much about the fineness or precision of the result. Practice and improve your brushworks, your skills, so that when you do more, serious works, your skill is improved. Okay. So the darker tones for the shadows, and I am making it little bit of a darker reddish color for the shadows on the pathway. Okay, because it is a kind of the local color of the pathway is little muddy, little reddish, brownish, So little darker version of the same for the shadows. I'm softening some of these shadows because I don't want it to be very clear, sharp shadows. Okay, little soft shadows. Okay, and little bit of a purplish tone by mixing Prussian blue and crimson, and it is a dark color. I don't usually use black for those darker shadows, darker tones. It is a dark kind of a purple color for suggesting some a couple of bikes parked there. Okay, some little bit details of the handlebars or whatever it is. Okay, some mirrors. These are some suggestions. You can ignore, or if you want you can do that. So I usually don't give too much of details, but some details I tend to give. Okay, these details, a little bit of suggested details will kind of give the illusion. Okay, now let us make this paint this car. This is the front vertical plane of the bonnet area, and I made it with the vertical plane is made with a little bit of a blue and Payne's gray, and the windshield, the front glass is painted with pale wash of Payne's gray. And let us make some shadows on the top plane of the bonnet. And I think, see, I wanted to create the illusion that it also is getting some shadow from the tree. Okay, so that the shadow should go far into the car area. So I have extended the shadow a little bit, and I thought I will change the color of the car, but I am not happy with the red color that I have given for the car. I might I might have to change it. Okay, so I don't really like it. So maybe I am trying to lift some of the colors, but I'm not very happy. So let us kind of lift it with a tissue paper. That is what I might consider. Okay, let us lift it with a tissue paper, and we will change the color. Okay, so this is a way of fixing it, and we can always decide to fix if something is not right. So that texture on the sky area is troubling me. So let me add some darker foliages, and maybe I will add a darker tree in front of the tree that we have painted, so that we can cover the bad texture that we are seeing in the sky area. So you don't have to do it if you're following along, because you may not get this texture. This is another way of another thing, another opportunity to show how we can fix certain things. So this is another fixing approach. So we have decided to fix the car color, and now it is another fix that we are doing by covering those unwanted textures with another kind of element, which is a, a tree, another foreground tree. Okay, so this, as you can see, the approach here is I'm kind of creating some loose edge leaves, sharp edge leaves, and then covering the area within using larger volumes, larger washes. Okay, so using the tip, I am making some edge leaves, and then using the side of the brush, I am making larger volumes. So you can practice this. This could be an opportunity to practice tree foliages. And this has to be a little bit darker in texture than the previous tree that we have made, because we are sort of making it in front of the previous tree. Okay. As I have mentioned, you can ignore this tree, the tree that we are making now, because this was not in the plan. This I just decided to do this because there was a very clearly visible texture on the sky area on my paper, that may be due to some manufacturing issue of the paper. Sometimes such issues can happen by accident also. You might splatter, you might drop some colors on the sky area, so you may have to go for this kind of approach. So this is an opportunity where I can show such an approach. Okay, so I think this can be treated as done. I don't want to fiddle it too much. Okay, so this could be another kind of a tree in front. Okay, now I'm looking at the composition, and I thought a little bit larger volume of the foliages may be useful. Just practice it, okay? So don't worry too much about the precision. Just practice it, and splattering of water creates some texture to that. And now I'm adding darker color to the car because we have initially washed it with red and it didn't come out good. So I have changed the color scheme now. Let it have some darker shadows on the windshield, and let us have some shadows on the top of the bonnet area also, so that it looks like there is some shadows. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. It is not very colorful, but it looks convincing. It's a simple work, okay? This is a simple practice work. Don't worry too much about making it very attractive. If you want, you can, of course, try. See, with these practice works, you can always try various things. Whatever that comes into your mind, you can try, okay? And a little bit of a cobalt green and Payne's grey I'm mixing. It is a little bit a thicker consistency, not very watery, but not very thick also. It is a kind of a milky consistency, and I am using a round brush, medium size round brush for this electric pole, and it is not very perfect, I know. Okay, so I don't mind making it. I don't want to make it too pretty. These are just some kind of a suggestion. Okay, so this I would rather suggest you to take a smaller brush for these horizontal lines, because in my case I'm getting it little bold and wide. So you can use a slightly smaller brush. Okay, and okay, I think I will leave it at this point. I don't want to make it too much pretty, and let us define some of these figures. It is cobalt green and little bit of Payne's gray, and yeah, this proportion of these figures you should pay attention to. I'm not very happy with the figure, but it is okay. Okay. See, each individual element, if you look at, they may have some flaws, they may not be good, but as a whole, as a whole picture, it should be convincing. If it is convincing in terms of the perspective, in terms of the shadows and the composition and the lightings, then it should be good enough. Some kind of a suggestion for the parked scooters. It is not good. I mean, I know that it is not. These are not good. Maybe we'll add some additional touches to make it a little bit more convincing. Okay, I think that is pretty much done. I'm using a little bit of an opaque touch by mixing a little bit of blue and lavender sort of thing and white, a touch of white, so that we can give some kind of highlight for the parked bikes. Okay, it was done with very dark tones, some kind of highlights. That's it. That can be avoided if you are not in favor of adding opaque touches, white in particular. You can avoid that step. This is skin tones using orange color directly from the tube, and the same orange color I am using for some of the tail lamps. And for the tail lamp of this parked scooter, I am using Scarlet red, little bright red, and it is spreading too much. So to control it, I am using Payne's gray so that the red doesn't spread too much. Okay, now I think it is a little bit more interesting than it was with the help of that the dark colors and the red tail lamps merging into the darks. It looks a little interesting. Okay. At least I feel so. Let me know if you think that was a good idea, merging the tail lamp and the dark tones for the bikes. And I think we can treat it as pretty much done. Let us give some suggestion for the headlamp and maybe some touches here and there. Okay, so that way we can finish it. And I hope this video was informative and you found something to learn from this. And if you think this was helping you, please do subscribe to my channel and press that bell notification so that you get notified whenever I release new videos. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please do write them into the comment box below. I'll be more than happy to get back with my answers as early as possible. Okay, so at this point we can treat this as done and I have signed it. Okay, these are just practices. So please do practice. The more you practice, the more you improve. And these kinds of practice will help you in creating more and more confidence in your thought process, in your brushworks, and that way you can improve your watercolors to a great extent. So thank you very much for watching this video, and once again, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and press that bell notification. So I'll be happy to answer any of your questions, so please feel free to write them into the comment box below. We'll soon see you with another interesting tutorial, and happy painting until then. Bye bye.